This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My name's Adele Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to this episode of Legally Clueless. This is what's coming up.
So at around midnight, I'm just thinking it was midnight, I hear there's a vehicle at our gate, so I know my parents are back. I jumped out of that bed and I was telling myself, I know from the look in my mother's eyes, I will know what has happened. When I got there, my mom got out of the vehicle and she's crying and she's sitting on down on the grass, and I'm like, you know what, you don't have to tell me. I think my worst fear has been confirmed. So the following morning, I'm confused. But now I have this thing where I want the world to know, because it hurts me that my brother died last night and it's morning and people are cooking breakfast. You know, kids are running around the neighborhood riding bikes. Like, why are you guys happy? Why are my neighbors laughing? Why is everything else in the world going the way it's supposed to be and my brother died last night? In my mind, I was like, maybe the mortician will call us and say, guys, he's okay. Deep down, I was even expecting that call. You know, the weirdest thing that I learned is that when you lose a spouse, when you're a woman, you're a widow. When you're a man, you're a widower. And when you lose a parent, you're an orphan. But when you lose a sibling, exactly what are you?
That is part 2 of Audrey's story. If you have not listened to part 1, you're definitely going to be floating. So please listen to the previous episode first before you continue with this one. However, I have to say a big thank you to all my OG members. I've got nothing but love for you. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome to the fam. I am so glad you are here. Legally Clueless podcast goes out every single Monday. On Wednesdays, we have the midweek teas, and we also have our newsletter, which is personal letters from me to help you navigate your healing journey. And then on Thursdays, we have 2 episodes of For Mannerless Women, one on our YouTube channel and one right here on our podcast channel. So basically what I'm trying to say is subscribe to whatever platform you're listening to this show on so that you do not miss any of our shows. And then join the family officially on our website, legallycluelessafrica.com, so that you can never miss out on a newsletter. Okay? Thank you so much for the love and the feedback that you've been sending out about our recent episodes and the wellness events. It means the entire world to see how this community is growing together. And before we jump into 100 African stories in this episode, I've got something really exciting that I need you to jot down and sign up for. We are hosting our final group therapy of the year. Of course, we've done this in partnership with Shamiri Health. We did it earlier this year for 3 months, 1 session a month. We took quite a few members of our community through group therapy sessions. The bonds that were born from it were just out of this world. So first and foremost, I want you to hear from some of our community members who attended our last group therapy session.
At the beginning of this year, I felt like there's a lot that I'm stuck at. I feel like in relationships, I was stuck and I felt like I'm starting to really not like this other gender. So that's why I decided, I saw the link, I was like, you know what, let's try this. What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, I've been wanting to go for therapy for a long time, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity, and now the fact that it was actually group therapy, you know, could still hide somewhere, but still listen and learn.
The experience has been amazing. Our group has been amazing. Sharing with the people has been just all around amazing. Our facilitator has been, everything has been amazing. Like, it's been a great experience.
Magical. It was mind-blowing. It was practical.
And the way that this specific group has really helped me shine through is sitting in introspection, but without judgment. You're just able to see a bit more clearly and participate with others, feeling like you're on the same page and you're working together, mnakagua this thing. and you're getting to know yourselves more.
Because you find that most of the things that you're covering is literally what the next person is also experiencing. So I felt like I was not alone. That's the best part about it.
Do it yesterday. It's amazing. I would highly recommend. It's not for clout or for others. It's for you. It's your own personal journey.
Shout out to those lovely, lovely ladies. So, as I was saying, we are hosting our final group therapy of the year. And this time around, it's a 3-part series that's focused on childhood trauma. So, we're going to be unpacking how childhood wounds show up in adulthood, how they're causing shege. I have a friend who uses that word all the time. And I've always wanted to use it with you. But yeah, how childhood trauma is causing shege in your relationships and your friendships. Like when we're talking about trauma bonds, when we're talking about abandoning your emotional needs. We're also going to be looking at how do we start healing your inner child? Because there's no healing unless we start there. And just so much more. The sessions are going to be led by accredited psychologists because only the best for you. And it's going to take place on the 11th of October, the 8th of November, and the 6th of December. So by the time you're going to meet your family during Christmas, you're not going to be triggered. We're going to work through all the childhood trauma, okay? Tickets for all 3 sessions combined are 4,500 bob. So what that means, once you grab your ticket, you're coming to all 3. And it's inclusive of the snacks that we're going to serve you. It's inclusive of all the resources that we're going to give you, whether it's reading material, exercises, all of that is covered in the tickets. And the sessions will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on those 3 days. I think if you are serious about your healing, commit. Honestly, commit, because we do our part in ensuring that we get accredited psychologists, we get people with the intellect to help you with healing. You then have to commit. I love coming for group therapy. I remember the last cohort, I didn't sit in any of the groups for the first Saturday, and the FOMO I felt, I complained to Shamiri. I was just like, imagine assign me a group. I must join. I must join. So I hope I get assigned to your group and we can walk this healing journey with you. You can grab your tickets right now. In the show notes, there's a link. You can go to our website, or you can just go to Hustle Sasa and search for Legally Clueless Africa. You'll find it there. And the last note I will say, because I know women especially do this very, very well, share this with your sisters. You know, let's be that generation that breaks the cycle of trauma, breaks the cycle of pain, and instead introduces healing, ease, and freedom. Freedom from trauma, Mazi. Can we just please be that generation? So I hope to see you there. So let's jump into 100 African stories. This week we return to Audrey's story. Remember in part 1, she took us back to her childhood, the bond she had with her siblings and the cracks in her parents' marriage, and just the loneliness she experienced as her family fractured. In this second part, Audrey shares the unimaginable, a sudden loss in her life and the chaos that followed and the questions that never got answered and just like grief. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
So I get a text from a cousin of mine who is like in standard 5, and she sends me a text saying Warren is dead. When I read that, I think first of all I dropped the phone and I was screaming. So when I was screaming, my sister started screaming. She's like, what has happened? And I'm like, read that message. She's young. My sister then had already done her KCP examination, She had done her KCP examination. This is 27th. KCP results, they're supposed to come out on 28th, the following day, which is another story. So I'm like, read that message. Now we're screaming, the both of us. And then there's my neighbor. She comes and she's knocking like, Audrey, are you guys okay? And I'm like, my brother is dead. So me, I'm just telling her because that is what I've been told by my young cousin who and she's like, calm down. Remember, calm down does not calm anyone. It's like, calm down, but no. I cannot calm down. Like, and she's like, come over. So she's like, close your door, come to my house. Wherever that lady is, I have to say, God bless you. Really, she was the kindest. She didn't even know us. I think my mom did her hair like once during the time that we were living there. She took us in. She was like, I want you guys to relax. This is a child that has texted you this. We don't know the truth about this, okay? No one is overthinking. Fine. She puts on TV. She's bringing popcorns, giving us sodas. Like, I think she's trying to distract us from what is going on here. But for me, I'm someone who can tell when something is wrong. Like, there's just something in your heart that is telling you, no, something has happened. I know something has happened. And she's there like, don't worry. You want me to call? And I tell her, yes, call my mom. I want to talk to my mom. So she calls. But when she calls, I realize it's my uncle talking to her. And again, I think just to go back a little bit, my dad comes home at around 8. And he knocks on our door and I'm not there. And then I rush over and I'm like, Dad, Warren has been in an accident. And I can see my father's face shift from what? And he's like, give me my phone. And he takes the phone and goes. So remember, my father is going. I cannot communicate with him. I don't know. I really cannot tell what happened between my father going to that hospital. So this neighbor of ours, she calls. And I realize she's speaking to my uncle. In my mind, I'm like, now it's my uncle speaking and it's not my mom. This is bad. And I can see from her face that the news that she has received, it's not good, but it's like a split second. And then she turns to me like, guys, I told you, your brother hit his head, but he's fine. Hey, that one did not make any sense to me. What do you mean he hit his head and he's fine? And she's like, come here. Why are you hugging me in this moment? Because I'm like, if someone has an accident, why are we hugging each other? See, he's going to be okay. And she's like, he's going to be fine, don't worry. And she's like hugging all of us. Now I knew something was not right, but no one is telling me anything. And she maintains he just hit his head and he's perfectly fine. And we watch TV and I wasn't watching that TV. I was just seeing characters going up and down, but my head was just thinking, saying, God, let it not be what I'm thinking. Please, like, let it be anything else, but not what I'm thinking. And my neighbor, she takes us to her bed. Oh, that lady was nice. She's like, get in, get in, get in. So it's my sister, myself. I think my little cousin was with us. She was like maybe 4. And she gets her into her bed and she's like, let's sleep. And she does this of her lights. She switches off the light. I'm not sleeping in this bed. I'm trying to level my breathing, but I can't. Something is not right. I can tell from everything. I'm like, why is my mom not calling me? I've dropped her messages. I've called her 1,000 times. Her phone is now even dead. I'm trying to sleep and I cannot sleep. I'm just imagining, Warren, what has happened? I hope it's not what I'm thinking. God, I hope. And I was trying to pray that day and I felt like my prayers were just bouncing, like hitting the ceiling and coming back to me. Like it's just hollow. I can feel it's not going anywhere. So at around midnight, I'm just thinking it was midnight. I hear there's a vehicle at our gate, so I know my parents are back. I jumped out of that bed and I was telling myself, I know from the look in my mother's eyes, I will know what has happened. When I got there, my mom got out of the vehicle and she's crying and she's sitting on like down on the grass and I'm like, you know what, you don't have to tell me. I think my worst fear has been confirmed. My mother was, she was done for. She was the saddest I've ever seen. I've never even seen my father cry in my entire life. These 2 people, they came themselves. They were alone, by the way. They did not have a relative or a friend with them. It's the middle of the night. My mom has my brother's shoes. My mom has his wallet and his phone. So if you're in an accident, why do we have all of this? And I don't need to ask my mom anything because she's crying and it looks like she's been crying for the longest. Even her voice is no longer there. It's like someone just trying to cry, but it's... And they come into the house and now it's the 4 of us. It's me and my sister and my mom. We are seated in a pool I remember, I think we were on their bed. We went to their bedroom and now we're seated and we're crying, all of us. There's no one else. And my mind is like, maybe read the Bible to them. So I am reading. I don't know even the verse that I'm reading. I'm like, guys, we're going to be okay. My mother is crying and I am crying and my father is crying and my sister. And it's like a round table of crying on that bed and we are lost. We are completely lost. My mom is like, he's gone. And my father is like, your brother is gone, guys. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean he's gone? And I go to the living room and I'm seeing the shoes and I'm seeing the phone and his wallet is there. And I'm like, what do you mean the owner of these things is gone? Like, what happened? I've not even gotten to what happened. It's just like, make me understand. Get me to the point where we got here. It was the saddest night of my life, of my family's life. It was hell. I don't know whether we slept because it was us crying on that bed, the four of us. Because again, my mom and dad had to wake up the following day in the morning to take this news home. Remember my rural place, there's a funeral going on. Someone is about, I think my grandma was to be buried on a Monday. 27th was on a Sunday, on the Monday. Sorry, there's a burial, but they have to take that news home. So the whole culture is that they wake up in the morning and they go home to bring that scream. That is how we call it in my culture, in our Luo culture. It's like they're taking that news home officially. That was the longest night of my life, coming to think about it. So the following morning, my mom, she's been crying the entire night. I've been trying to hold this family together. You know, being a firstborn is like, genetically, you're just meant to take care of others. So for me, I'm like, what do I do? I cook tea. Remember, I'd switched off the gas. Whatever we were cooking that supper, it never materialized. Whatever I ate, maybe popcorn from my neighbor's place, which I wasn't even eating. I was just trying to please her. And I can't remember the last time we ate or did anything, or even, well, we had showered because this entire thing happened in the evening. So the following day at 5, my mom and my dad leaves to go home to go drop this entire news to the family. And now we're left with my sister. Again, there's no one here. What I remember so much about this time is the fact that we were so alone. So alone. Like, death comes and you can't even believe it has happened. First of all, I've not believed this has happened. What do you mean? I've not digested this entire thing. So the following morning, I'm confused, but now I have this thing where I want the world to know. Because it hurts me that my brother died last night and it's morning and people are cooking breakfast. You know, kids are running around the neighborhood riding bikes. Like, why are you guys happy? That is how I'm processing it in my head. Why are my neighbors laughing? Why is everything else in the world going the way it's supposed to be and my brother died last night? I don't understand why you guys can even afford to smile. So I make it my mission. When we wake up in the morning, I'm knocking at neighbors' doors, literally. Like, hi. When someone says hi to you, I'm like, my brother is dead. And I was getting, like, it made me so happy when someone else was broken that I've told them that. If you understand, like, if I tell you my brother's dead and you're like, what? But I saw him yesterday. So now I get that thing of, yes, someone else is sad the way I am. So I'm like, yeah, it happened. Can you believe it? Like, I'm not even speaking. It's so robotic. It's like I'm speaking, but I'm not speaking. I'm just performing. Like, I'm like, imagine. Yesterday, he just left and he did not come back. So I'm just telling it to people to get their reaction. And the more sad you are, the more I feel validated. Like, wow, this is very sad, you know? And my brother had a best friend. Everyone has a best friend. The best friend, they were together the other day, but I think they separated at some point. So this guy is coming home in the morning, bouncing and, you know, being a boy and everything. And it's like, yo, is Warren awake? And I'm like, oh, wow, this is a good one. I'm going to give this news. Like, I was feeling in my heart that I need to give him this news in a way that will hurt him so that I can validate how I'm feeling. So I'm like, yeah, but he's dead. And I think for a moment he thought I was joking because he was like, what? And I was like, Warren is dead. And I remember that boy, he was standing on a wall and he just slid down and he sat, he just did this sliding thing and he sat down and he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah. And he tells me, but we were together yesterday up until 3. I'm like, regardless of whatever time you guys were together, as we speak right now, Warren is dead. That boy did cry. And when he cried, I felt so good. Not in like a good way, but in like someone else knows how I feel. Remember, I have not cried in this moment the way I'm supposed to. I'm still getting this feeling from every other person except me. If I tell you and you feel bad, yes, now this has happened. That boy cried. That boy was lost, and I saw my loss in his eyes. Like I could just look at him and feel like, yeah, this is how I'm feeling. But I'm not processing it for me. I'm getting that feeling from any other part. It's like I don't want it to be on my body yet. And because I've not seen him, this could be a story. Sometimes when someone you love dies, in your mind, you're like, this can be another story people are telling. I mean, I've not even seen his body, so what do you mean? And that is how, for me in my head, I was like, until I see my brother, no, I'm not going to. Like, I was trying so much not to cry. My mom is gone home. And then I think later, so now that is 28th. Later in that day, she calls me and she's like, you guys need to come home as well. And I took my sister and my cousin and we got into a matatu and I went home. When I went home, it was just a mess. My mother was a mess. Now that is the moment when I cried because now I saw people. When someone dies, now people come. So people had gone home to where my mom was. So now everybody's there. Everybody's wailing. And I hate that. I hated the wailing because it confirmed my worst fears. Like deep down, I was like, maybe it might even get well. I even thought that. In my mind, I was like, maybe the mortician will call us and say, guys, he's okay. Deep down, I was even expecting that call. And so when I go home and everyone is crying and, people are saying sorry, I hated the stories just as much as I hated because I cannot understand how things have turned like this. How such a young boy with dreams, someone that I played with, slept with, ate with, now I'm being told is dead. I could not process it. I could not take it. So there is all this crying, and then now when someone dies, burial has to continue. No, the plans have to be made. Someone has died. You cannot stay with them. They can't come home. You can't talk to them. They have to go sleep somewhere else. So it's sinking in that my brother is not coming home. He didn't come home last night. He won't come home again this night. And he's going to sleep in a fridge. That really did break me. Because, the weirdest thing that I learned is that when you lose a spouse, when you're a woman, you're a widow. When you're a man, you're a widower. And when you lose a parent, you're an orphan. But when you lose a sibling, exactly what are you? There's no word for you, ideally. When you lose a sibling, everyone is focused on your parents, Oh, I'm so sorry, you've lost your son, your only son. But no one stops and thinks about the siblings, the people that played with this person, the people that laughed with this person, the people that knew about this person's dreams or cheeky things and, the inside jokes. There's your relationship with your child, and then there's the relationship of your child and their sibling. And it's totally different. And in that moment, yes, people are there, we are sorry, but people are not looking at you. Me and my sister, people are not looking at us in that moment per se. We were just among the people that have lost someone, but no one is thinking about you in who you've lost. It's in who your parents have lost. You're bundled in this loss. You're mixed in this loss, but there's no one that is checking up on you in singular. Literally, there's not even anyone that is pulling you aside to talk to you that much. But I do remember my brother was friends with teachers. I think when you're bright, you're friends with your teachers a lot. So there's this teacher that they used to argue about chemistry things together. So this man, he came home on the 29th. That is the same day my sister's KCP results came out. And it was just a battle between screaming because she was like the second girl in the division, if I'm not wrong. But are we going to celebrate this or are we going to cry? You know, like, are we crying our brother is dead or are we celebrating you've done well in your KCP? And I feel like my sister missed the chance of being celebrated the way she should have been, or being raised up in the hair and being told, wow, congratulations, because everyone was like, Mama so-and-so has lost her only son. You know, there was that. The thing that was here was the death and not the celebration. And my sister, she didn't get a chance to celebrate that because something else way bigger was happening in that moment. And so this teacher pulls us aside and is like, guys, I know you're going. That is the only person who pulled us aside. I remember that perfectly well because no one else really cared about these children, but he pulled us aside and he was trying to advise me and my sister. And I was just looking at him from the point of, bro, you're alive. What are you telling me? So, in African setting, when you lose someone, people are telling you things. It is well, it's gonna be okay, they're at a better place. But I'm just looking at this guy and I'm like, what better place? Why did God not come and ask me if I want this person to go to a better place? And who said our house is not a better place? I mean, even our house is a better place. And he's just talking and I'm just looking at him and I'm just like, you're breathing and you're telling me that everything is going to be okay. And I remember he said something about my brother being saved from calamity. I think he was reading the Bible. I don't remember the verse he was reading, but I was like, calamity, really? Like, in those moments, I hated people telling me everything is going to be okay. You'd rather just not talk. You'd rather just not tell me I'm going to be fine because I don't think I'm going to ever be fine for the rest of my life. I was convinced everything is never going to be fine. My appetite, it's bad. My sleeping, I can't sleep. I keep having dreams. And in these dreams, this thing has not happened. In these dreams is like the day before all of this happened. And that is even the worst because it's like you're dreaming this person is back. People don't talk about the kind of dreams you have when you lose a loved one because you every night you're like, yay, I'm back. Don't worry, I didn't die. They're telling you they didn't die. And then you wake up in the morning, funeral things are going on in your home. So they did die for real, for real. I spent so much time alone. And I'm really, really thinking that I didn't process my brother's death in that moment the way I should have. I was protecting my sister because people tell you be strong for your sister. So if you cry, what is your sister going to do? They make you feel like crying is not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be strong. And people are like, and your mom, do you want your mom to just cry and everything? And so just to go back a little bit, that December, not that December, when I'd finished my Form 4 in November, when I came home, I realized my mom was kind of weird and she didn't like certain smells or certain food. So my mind was like, what is wrong with this lady? So I'm like, Mom, what is happening to you? And she's like, get me a pen. So I give her a pen and I'm thinking maybe she wants to write a shopping list. And she's like, I am pregnant, but don't tell your siblings. So in my mind, I'm like, ooh, cool. Imagine all my life I've wanted a younger sibling. So I'm like, wow. But my mom is like, I've not told anyone. And I'm not sure how your brother and your sister is going to take it. So keep it on the down low until I cannot hide it. I was the firstborn. So basically, I've grown with my mom. She had me young, so we were more of a sister. We are more of a sister duo than than mother-daughter, which I love. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, I cannot wait. And my mom is like, don't tell anyone. So when my brother died, I was like, if I had told my brother we have a younger sibling coming, he would have fought to stay alive because you always wanted a younger sibling. And now I started feeling so guilty. I'm like, I wish I'd told him. I just wish I'd told him. Like, I'm just like, why did I hide this? Like, if I had not hidden this, maybe on that day when whatever happened, he would have fought so hard to stay alive, I really felt so bad. So which brings me back to what happened. It is not so clear what happened, but now we're getting stories from other people because my brother died away from home. So according to the stories that we had and what was said in the news, that day it had rained a little bit, these light showers, not so much of rain because it wasn't even wet. But when it had rained, my brother and a few other people, they had sheltered in a church. Like they took shelter in a church. Apparently, he had detoured the way we had imagined. He had gone to see a friend somewhere. So when it rained at that place, they sheltered at a church. And so when they sheltered there, whatever rain that was there, which to me, we didn't see that rain from where we were, but there was lightning that struck that church and it hit him. These other people, they survived this entire thing. I think they left with burns, but my brother did not live with a burn, but he did not get out of there alive. So, my dad was trying to trace, you've lost your only son. I'm trying to think about the way he was feeling, but he went there to look for the person that took my brother to the hospital, probably to try to find out if he was alive when he was taken to the hospital, at what time was he taken to the hospital. But even the guy that took him to the hospital kind of vanished. My dad could not trace him. And these guys that they were saying there were the survivors there who got burnt. Their clothes were burnt from that lightning. My dad could also not find any of them to ask anything. There were a lot of things going on around that time. The fact that one of these survivors actually moved when my dad was looking for him. The guy that apparently took my brother to the hospital did not come back. These border guys, they have like a place where they stand as they wait for customers. So he never went back there after that. He kind of just up and left. And all these things were making us question so much, like what happened? Literally in our family we were like, did my brother die at the place that lightning struck? Or did he die at the hospital? Was it like, did he arrive there dead, or was he pronounced dead there? Like there were so many questions, and with questions you get angry because now you want to know like what exactly happened. And unfortunately, we never really got to know what happened. The only thing that I know for sure is that when the mortician gave us his clothes, he was wearing a shirt that, I don't know, it's like a linen kind of thing because you could see it was burnt. You see the way plastic burns and folds? Yes. His shirt was like that. And there was like a white patch on his boxers. And there was that white patch was also on the trouser. So you could see maybe that's the point where the electricity or that lightning had hit and the cloth was burnt there. But from what my dad says, from checking his body and anything, there was no physical burn. Literally. This burn was just on the clothes. And those clothes, I saw them because they were given to me. And my mom washed them and folded them. But you could see from the boxer, there's like a white patch of something that has burnt. And the shirt is like shrinking. And then the trouser has, it's a blue trouser, but now there's like a white patch. You can literally see point of impact. But that is the only answer we had. I remember we sat down at home looking at those clothes and we were like, I guess we just have to let this thing go. My brother was hit by lightning. It clearly burned him from somewhere. We don't know where it hit. We don't know what it did to him in that moment. But now the questions of, was this painful? Did it take him a long time to die? Like those kind of questions were coming into my head and they don't let you sleep. They don't let you let go because you keep wondering, these people that he was with in this church, when he fell down, did they check on him? Tell me, he has his phone on his pocket. He had everything. He had his wallet. So how exactly did this happen? And up until today, honestly, we've never gotten answers. The only answer we have is that we saw that burn and, he's no more. So there is that. So he's cool now. They took a picture of him. My brother was on magazine. And when I would see him on magazine, I was like, now 1 million people have seen this. Now there's more people out there who are like seeing this story because, the headlines were like, this boy was hit by, was struck by lightning. So I'm like, wow, someone else is feeling this sadness. And when I feel someone else is feeling this sadness, it validates my own sadness. I remember during that time I would go to the market, and Mama Mboga, the ones that knew me and my brother, they're like, "How is your brother doing?" And I'm like dropping the bombshell. I'm like, "Oh, he's dead." And he's like, "What?" And when you do that, you make me feel like, wow, people loved him. Now I feel validated. I feel like someone else out there is understanding me. I feel like his death is not in vain. But if I tell you about it and you're sad, now it makes me happy. And I went to the cyber to like print a picture of him. By the way, people don't talk about the things that happen when someone you love dies. The things you need to do that are very hard to do. Like going to a cyber to print his picture so that you can put it in a frame so that you can go home with it for people to write their condolences. So I'm the one who went to do that. And this guy's like, "Oh wow, you're printing a picture of your brother. How old is he?" I think he's so Alliance High School on his nini, and I'm like, "He's dead." And I used to say he's dead in such a way, in a way that is so detached from me. Like I'm just giving you news of someone I don't even know that has died, so that I can get your reaction, and your reaction makes me feel good about this entire situation. I didn't know the worst is yet to come, because now the whole funeral thing is going on, the planning, people are coming home, people are telling me all these things, and I've just, it's like deep down I've just tuned it off. You come and tell me everything is gonna be okay, fantastic. You talk to me when you're done, go home. Because for me, one thing that mattered in my life, it's gone. Remember, we had plans to move to a new city. We had such plans. My brother wanted to go to Yale. He would talk so much about Yale and how he wanted to be a software engineer. He just had dreams. And these dreams, this is the end of it. And people don't get to talk about how you have to leave the plans you had with someone on your own. I had plans with this person, but now they're not here. I have to continue either way, and they're not here. Someone tells me I have to shower and I have to eat, and it's not making sense to me. Why am I showering and eating when my only brother is in a fridge somewhere? So I think to make this thing sink in, my mom was like, "You need to go and see your brother." So me and my sister and my aunt, we went to the morgue. I cannot say I was scared. When you lose someone you love, you stop being scared of dead people. Because now a dead person is not scary. It's someone you ate with yesterday, so they're just normal. And we went to the morgue, and this guy was like, we were like, "Hi, we are here to see Warren." And he's like, come. And he goes there and he pulls this fridge, and my brother is wearing his hood. They didn't take it off, so it's like he's sleeping.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. That was part 2 of Audrey's story. Part 3 is going to be out next week. So make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this on, so you don't miss out on it. Man, just listening to her talking about Warren's death and what comes afterwards. In fact, I think there's a line she said that people don't really know the things that have to be done immediately after someone dies. I connected with that stuff because I remember when my mom passed away. So my mom passed away when I was 23. I'm 36 now, but it's still hectic to navigate. My aunt, who's so dear to me, Auntie Jane, she took me. I'm trying to remember if I went alone with her or if I went with my sisters. I can't really remember. And we went to Lee Funeral Home a couple of days after my mom's death to see my mom. First, I just remember walking into like the room. They are so dignified in how they run things. The room that my mom was in was so beautiful. I still just remember the daylight streaming in and like how the shadows were falling onto the casket and all of that. I don't know why I remember that, but I think it's also because the room just looked so still and beautiful. And I didn't feel in that room despair, which is crazy because I was looking at my mother's dead body. Anyway, and they gave us, I don't even think they rushed us or anything. Like it was just like, have your moment, however long it takes, and then do what you need to do. And, I just remember seeing my mom and thinking she looked like she was sleeping, yes, and very peaceful, but it also looked like she had like a bit of a smile, like there was a happiness. There was a look of, I wouldn't even say content, I would say happiness. Like I can't explain it. I really can't explain it. And I don't even remember like wilding out. And I don't think I was in shock per se. That room just had this powerful energy, and it wasn't a darkness. It didn't have a darkness about it. But I just remember when Audrey says how you stop being scared of dead bodies because now this is your loved one. Spot on. Like, because before my mom died, hey, I wouldn't actually even view bodies during a funeral. I would just be like, no, thank you. But so my mom died. Like, there was no fear in that sense. But I just remember her looking so happy, so peaceful, and just looking like she was asleep. Like she was just about to wake up and ask, what's happening? Why am I in this box, you know? Obviously, a few years later, I had a close friend at the time whose mom passed away. And I remember immediately afterwards, not only the legal things you have to do as pertains to whatever country you're in, but because of the culture that my friend's mom had married into, the first thing we had to do, and I remember she passed on and I was on my radio show in the morning, and then I had to go directly to their house, and we had to, together with her mom's sisters, pack up her mom's stuff because her dad's, so the in-law, the dad's family would come, like culturally, after a funeral, they would come and just like take whatever they want to take. Very terrible behavior. I don't even think that's culture. That's just people's greed, to be honest. And then they say culture just to like, you know, whitewash it. But like, you're moving mad. After that, I remember we needed to look for the burial permit. So we had to go to, I don't know what it's called now, but at the time, City Mortuary, which is a government mortuary here in Kenya. It's in Nairobi. And I'm saying government so you understand when when you're trying to maneuver the systems inside there. It's an old dusty office when you walk in. People are not even, like the officials or the officers there, they're not even sensitive to the fact that if someone is coming here to look for a burial permit, chances are they are emotional. Like nobody's being soft. It was so irritating. So there are all of these things. You have like, who's designing the program, who's writing the, what is it called? The eulogy, who's writing that, who's now gathering all of those things. There is so much you have to do. Shit. Even just remembering it, I'm like, what the heck? And you're trying to, in your mind, reconcile. Allah, this person is no longer here, but there's a whole list of things you have to do. Man, if somebody close to you has lost someone, try and, as much as you can, because obviously there's some things that only family can manage, but try as much as possible to help out, especially with those things, because it's not normal to have to do that when you're grieving. Next week on the podcast is part 3 of Audrey's story, and it's all about rebuilding, you know, and what healing has looked like since. There's a lot of key takeaways, so make sure you're here for that. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you stream your pods, and remember to also sign up for our group therapy. It's the last one of 2025, so you don't want to miss it. And then we all have childhood trauma. Like, it is what it is. So come through. Let's work through it together. It's always so much more efficient and better and warmer when you heal in community, right? That's what I feel from it. Anyway, so grab your tickets. A link is in the show notes. And as always, I truly appreciate you. And I know you have every single thing it takes to heal. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.